So there are good cops.
Looks like we got us another hit. Yep.
The school lunch programs. Let's see this right here. It says Minnesota governor. Hold on, let me go to the post. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, after signing a law that guarantees free breakfast and lunch to all public school students. And it says Republicans' 2024 agenda, which prioritized stopping schools from giving free meals to all public school students. It says Republicans declare banning universal free school meals as a 2024 priority. As states across the country move to make sure students are well fed, Republicans have announced their intention to fight back. What do you think about that? Perfect Union posted this. This is a left leaning page, and it says Republicans have declared that they want to ban free meals for students.
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know. A lot of times I don't agree with that. Some people say that stuff, but um, okay. And if that's the case, then what? I mean, because really, like nobody should like. I don't think any because I pay for my kid to eat every day. So, but with the taxes that we pay, like whatever we're paying the teachers and this, that, and the other, like why the kid has to be there and he needs to eat. Why does there have to be another separate thing in place to either, for the kids not to eat or I'll say, bro, like some of the stuff just doesn't make sense to me, bro. Like that should be a part of the budget. Like,
Yeah,
kid eating at
everybody
school. You know what I'm saying?
everybody
Like,
should have a basic lunch, and then they'll
and
have like a little concierge area for stuff they want to
but
pay for. But nobody should have to sit all through a school day and not eat. I mean, be it because they're rich, be it because their parents are idiots, or be it because they just want
what
to be emo about it.
I mean, because the whole thing about it is like none of these kids is going to school, especially with the type of you know, how they want to look at all of the kids are our kids, but
We're
you're
gonna
not
force them to be there. We can at least feed them.
I'm
yeah, you're
saying,
not yeah. So I mean, it's insane to me, bro. Because I mean, the budget should include all of that. Like you're not stopping the people who the cafeteria workers, like they don't get paid more or less because of who eats and whatever. Like they cook enough for everybody, and like that should be just really a part of the base cost of sending kids going to public schools. But you
That's a
know,
good place to hire veterans and stuff like that. People that wouldn't have a regular job at other places.
yep.
They need more basic, and bam, they can learn something that might help them do something, or at least give them some socialization that they wouldn't have.
Yeah, just give them something to do. Like, they'll keep them alive, and they're going to, something that they can do that they can feel good about if they're part
feel
of something
proud.
that, is
Yes,
helping the kids and
bro.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
That
another
also, that
part,
also qualifies them for because they work for the education thing. It also qualifies them for educators credit union, which will help them with finances, help them get money going, help them get better loans. I mean, it's a
Wh-
win-win, and it
wh-
really wouldn't cost us that much.
You're going a little too far now, Doc.
another part of this though that we haven't mentioned is that a lot of these kids, that might be their only meal they get that day.
Yeah, that
Uh,
part.
a lot of families are struggling. They're living check to check, and with the rising food cost prices, you got families, they gotta pay their rent. You know what I mean? They gotta pay their light bill. They have to pay these certain living expenses, right? So then the food is one of the parts of the budget that has some fluctuation to it. So when the prices go up, and so the food is what gets cut into. You know what I'm saying? That's where they have to their budget. They have less for their in their budget. So then having to be sure that your kid is going to get at least a decent meal when they go to school relieves a bit of pressure from a lot of households. That again, that the kid got to eat at least once a decent meal that day. I think it's a really big deal.
Definitely, but I mean, well, I don't think breakfast is a necessary meal, but I guess for those who do eat breakfast, like that's something that they should be able to get and be able to choose from. Like, okay, if I'm only going to get a one, I'm gonna I'm gonna use up mine on breakfast, or I'm gonna use mine on lunch. However that's gonna work.
I think they should get a breakfast and a lunch. You're making them stay there for like 8 hours. You're making them get up early as hell.
The option for both, definitely, because some kids are early eaters and don't eat till late in the day. Other kids like me, I didn't eat till lunch. And that's just the way. That's just habits. And then you got the kids that need it and need to get two because they don't know if they're going to get one that night.
Right.
But look, the three meals a day is something that is one of the things that triggered people becoming more unhealthy. Your organs don't have a time to recuperate, so like the extra meals really isn't like beneficial that like the way people think. So, but we're gonna feed kids these sugars, these processed foods that it's not allowing them to keep their focus throughout the day anyway.
Yeah,
so it's
that's the killer now. Kids do actually need that third meal, like adults. Like we don't once you hit about 23, you don't really need that extra thing. When you're a kid, your cells are dividing, your body's burning energy as much as they're burning as much energy as sleep as we burn during the day sitting around doing nothing.
Because they're growing, and the breakfast one I think is important because if the child didn't really have dinner the night before and they went the whole night without eating, and they wake up in the morning and they're hungry, and how can you expect them to focus on learning if their stomach is growling, like their stomach is folded in and they got this pain, they got a headache, you can't expect them to be focus on learning when they're starving. They're not going to retain any information. They're not going to hear anything the teacher is saying because they're hungry.
Yeah, that's very true. I know I went through reduced lunch when I was a kid, and I think that because you're having a certain separate, because this is like I said, whatever meal it is, they should get it, but at the same time, just based on your parents' social, economic situations, you're being separated from everybody else. Where every kid just there to learn, supposed to be there to learn. Like we're putting in their minds already that one kid is not as good as another because these different programs, and we're
right. It's shaming them, and it's embarrassing because even when I went to school, I remember because I was on the school lunch program, and a lot of times I wouldn't go through the line because it was a separate line. Everybody knows that you're on school lunch because you go into that line to get the free lunch or whatever, and then the other kids are looking at you like, oh, you're gonna go get the free lunch. So I think that it should be set up for all the kids to get it. You know what I mean? And then there won't really be a determination of who's on free lunch and who's not, so that you won't have this stigmatism related to it. And make it a good lunch too, you know what I'm saying? So that all the other students will want to get the lunch instead of them being like, oh, it's trash anyways. Because a lot of days I didn't get the school lunch because it was trash. And if I had $2 or whatever, I'd go get me some cheesy fries or something.
bro, I ain't gonna lie. I used to be kind of like not hating, but like, somewhat jealous of the kids that brought their own lunch or that could afford to, like they was able to bring their own little sandwich, that fruit and this, that, and the other, and the bullshit, the BS that you would get. Because I mean, there was only certain days that you felt like you was really getting something that you want, pizza day, and I don't know, some other, whatever day that is that they serve the fun meal or something that everybody likes, but or lasagna, some stuff like that, whatever. But
The big old
overall,
sheet pizza day.
yes,
That
yes.
big old huge like truck bed size sheet of sausage cheese pizza that was like total goob, and like it was the most awesome day of the week.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah.
So yeah, maybe 2 or 3 days of the week they'd have something that you'd actually want to eat, and the rest of the time they didn't. And I agree with you on the school lunch as far as people bringing the lunch. A lot of times I would envy those kids too because I didn't always have that. I moved from my mom to my dad, and it was like single parent or whatever, parent working all the time, and they really just didn't have the time to put together lunches for me or whatever. And then maybe they would put the food in there and have me the responsibility on me to make my own lunch. And my ass being a
Lunches.
kid, I didn't do it.
Did you not grow up Gen X, man? Shit, I was fucking cooking dinner by the time they got home when I was 9.
Yeah, that's what I'm
uh,
saying. But if you leave it on to the kid,
Mom and dad make lunch for me. Fuck, I had to make my own lunch.
that's what I was saying. I had,
Chaco's right on the borderline of X and millennial. He
yeah. So,
might be really a millennial,
but yeah, I did. I have
He
to do
seems
that.
a lot more millennial, definitely.
But if you leave it on to the kids to make their lunch for them, a lot of times they're not going to do it. That's what I was saying. Like a lot of days, I didn't. I didn't. I was a kid. I
you
mean,
you know what I thought about because I mean, even if I wanted to fix my own lunch, I guess I could have made me sandwiches or whatever. But when I got up in the morning, you know what my focus was? What cartoons is on?
yeah,
What can I watch before I go to school? And then
yeah,
it's like, oh, yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I grew up in a one parent home. My mom, she's at work at 6 o'clock, so like we're still sleeping before we're still sleeping while she's already gone to work.
yeah.
So it's
So all the kids don't have the. I mean, if you put that on the kids, like, so that's why having a school lunch there makes a difference. Like they're a kid, they shouldn't have to worry about making their own lunch every day or whatever. Like I'm not making excuses, but some days they're not gonna do it. I mean, they're a kid, like you can't expect them to. But then them having a lunch is
That's
important.
something that should be an off the table item when it comes to negotiations for schools and stuff like that. Kids, we make them go there by law. We should feed them.
Yeah, because
I mean, we do that to our prisoners.
I was about to
Good,
say that.
but yeah,
good companies have basic cafeteria
but
items
look,
that you
but
can get for
look at how
free,
y'all.
and then you can upgrade if you want, or at least they've got cheap sandwich machines and stuff like
And if
that.
they make you
I
go to
think we got to
jury
be
duty,
careful.
they're gonna feed you. They're gonna give you lunch when they make you go to jury duty. I
Ooh,
mean,
I
and
think
that
we
big
need to be careful.
$16 a day tip.
They're already saying that the school system is a pipeline to prison construct. So I think we might need to be somewhat
Well, at
careful
least
of
if they're
that too.
fed, they'll be used to it.
we're just using prison as an example of if they force you to be there, they
Look,
gotta feed you.
I
That's
I
all.
Yeah,
I,
and
I, I hear you,
that is the only depth that I'm
but
putting in that statement.
always help, but also needs to be able to feed them healthily because I mean the junk that they're getting that we're like that I think there has to be a certain standard set for because I mean we need our kids to be able to be here and do fight the fight for us when we're getting elderly, and if we don't do the right things for them now, like what's gonna influence, what's gonna make them want to look out for us later on when they have to
Yeah,
change, so
and,
it's
and
Shit, I know I'm on my own.
yeah. Well, the quality of food is definitely an issue, and It's like the same companies that provide foods for the prisons are the same companies that provide foods for the schools, and it'd be like the same as food. And I had my cousin. He was locked up for like 16 years, and when he got out, I was helping him out a lot, and he was with me a lot, and he'd be with me when I go and take my daughter to school in the morning times, and he would come walk around the school, and he'd be like, "Man, this feels just like the prison." And then he see the food that they give him for breakfast, and he'd be like, "Bro, this is the same like shit they give us in prison. Like, this is fucked up."
Yeah. That's why I'm like, because I'm with y'all on the whole, like, yeah, these kids need to eat and they don't need to be, separated based on, their social, their economic situations. But at the same time, I mean, us asking that, every kid gets the same thing, or, which they should get the same thing, but not setting a certain standard that they need to be able to have
It's about priorities, and here in the United States, it seems like that's not a very high priority. And then you see the reason why we're talking about that is because they're saying that the Republicans are fighting the universal free school meals. Like, I guess they're calling it socialism or whatever. But then you look at other countries around the world, and you look at the lunches that these kids get, and it's really nice. Was TikToks going around about that, comparing the American lunches versus all of these other countries. And then we're supposed to be the richest country in the world. A lot of these countries are a lot poorer, but their kids are getting way better meals for their school lunches, so that's the priority.
Why?
Because here in the States, we don't have a priority on that. It's not
because
a priority.
They outlawed GMOs and high fructose syrup in their freaking kids' meals there. That's also why their kids are like we've got here, 7-year-olds with boobies, and then the girls getting them younger.
And then it's about capitalism too. It's about making money because they make money off of these school lunches. If the home cooked type meals, are different. Like in one country, they were showing how like school lunch was like a class. And the students would be involved in the cooking and preparing of the food, and they would be clean up and wash dishes and all of that stuff. It was like a class, and it's home cooked meals. So there you don't have home cooked meals. You don't have a corporation to make money off of these packaged meals for them. You know what I'm saying? And here in the States, it's all about making the money. So the home cooked fresh meals, that takes out the element for them to make a lot of profit.
Back in the day, a lot of our home economics courses were started by Maytag and Hoover and the Mixer Company and stuff like that to teach the kids to use the products and to cook using those products. So they would go out, and when they hit the adult world, they'd have to buy those products because that's what they knew how to cook with.
They already got programmed.
What was one say, bro? Because I'm gonna just say I know I was personally programmed when I was a kid, and one of the things that I said, because like my mama, she was buying the generic cereal and things like that. Shoot, when I get older, I'm gonna get the
name brand.
I want the name. You know what I'm saying? So it's like. They tricked us. They done sold us on things that we don't even know. We've been sold on.
Yeah, those microwave meals. Those
oh my god.
Those what do you call them? The TV dinners.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant when you said the. Yeah, but,
that's what I was thinking of. Let me read this comment right here. It says, free lunch in Republican states, which typically have a high African American population, disproportionately aid poor Black and brown families. It's a vestige of the welfare queen rhetoric used to defund social welfare programs after World War II. These programs were welcomed and encouraged when they were associated with middle-class families.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that would require a middle class for them to associate with that with. They pretty much took middle class off of life support where it was and just plain killed it with the whole pandemic.
Yeah, and decimated it over time because, and I brought this up before because it was a guy I was talking to at my job, and I mentioned it before about the guy said that he could go and get a summer job that would pay for his tuition. And so when we look back and we look at when we did have a strong middle class, you could have one earner in the household, and you could be able to buy you a car and buy you a house and all of this stuff. And you can't do that now. The prices are different. You can send your kids to college, all of that off of one income. And you can't do that. So that there goes the middle class don't really exist. And that's the reason, and the cost of college has skyrocketed. The cost of everything has skyrocketed, and the wages have stagnated. You know what I mean? So
You either struggle or you're okay. I
Mhm.
mean, there is no I'm making it anymore. It's once you get above that, there is no cruise point anymore. There is no I'll be okay. You either scratch till you have more than you need, or you're done.
and most
Well,
households
making it is relative, but yeah, go ahead, Sean.
most households needs two incomes to be viable. You know what I mean? At least two incomes. One income is just not enough. And then you got situations where, because again everything costs so much, and they're wondering why people don't have children. The cost for daycare and all of that stuff is so ridiculous that in a lot of households one parent decides to just stay at home with the kids because it costs more for them to go to work and pay for daycare and all of this stuff, where they might as well just not work and stay home with the kid. That you're screwed left and right. Now, like, how do the families are supposed to make ends meet? With the way the system is now, it wasn't like that just a couple generations ago. What has happened? How did we get here? And then you got
The
the
dollar's been devalued 19 times since then.
and then you got the boomers who are saying y'all are being lazy, y'all not taking care of business, y'all need to pay y'all loans back, da 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 da, and all of this shit. And they don't realize that when they were doing their thing, it was a totally different system. Like I say, they could go to work and pay for everything or whatever, but we don't have that same opportunity. They're like, you should go buy a house and do all of this. And like, we don't have a down payment for a house. We don't have that liquid cash to make that down payment for that home. We're not in the same position, and they expect us to perform the same way that they did in a totally different environment. And it's just not fair. And I think that a lot of them, they don't mean it to be mean. I really just think they don't get it. Like they still see the world as it was when they were doing their thing, but the world has completely changed and they're just not aware of it.
Yeah, no, and see that's one of the things that I think that the average person needs to realize and get over is that some like because everything is political now. So I mean, Democrats are bad, Republicans are bad, this, that, and the other. But these are just people who care about a lot of these things just as much as you do. It's just that they have a different approach, or maybe that they just have a different way to try to accomplish the same type of goal. Let's we really need to like start working together more and trying to make things better for our kids, because if we're going to leave it up to other people, like they're not going to get the best of the best. They're just going to get just indoctrinated. Let's just say that.
Let me read a couple more comments. This one, it says, can we please stop using the word free? This shit ain't free. This is us allocating our tax dollars to benefit society how we see fit. Most Americans don't even
Wow.
know. It says most Americans don't even know where their tax dollars go. I'd much rather my tax dollars go to provide meals for public schools than to pay for CEO buybacks.
I'm all over that one.
Another comment, it says, apocalyptically hilarious. That's your priority. It's so unhinged, so unreal. It's comedic in a way. They're cartoon villains. Another comment, it says, imagine claiming you're pro-life, but then taking issue with feeding children.
Huh.
Another
Yeah.
another comment, it says, pro-life except when it involves keeping people alive, i.e., fed, housed, healthcare, and gun control.
Yeah.
Another,
That's your motto. That's I know that's your motto right there.
another comment, it says, I don't even understand how it's a conservative stance. People who dislike the government should expect free food anywhere the government requires people to be. Prisoners get food because they have to go. Jurors get food because they have to go. Why shouldn't children get food at school if they have to go? That's the same point we was making earlier. Another comment, it says, the party of life and family once again tells you who they really are. They would rather give tax breaks to wealthy than to have public school children eat. Another comment, it says, Republican lawmakers in North Dakota even voted to give themselves larger meal reimbursements as they voted against school lunches. Surely government employees need nearly $80 per day to cover meal costs. The taxpayer can cover that, but not school lunches for helpless kids. That's asking too much. Yeah, I haven't seen much about it says Republicans declaring banning universal free school meals as a 2024 priority. I haven't really seen that,
Me
but
either. That's why I'm saying like some of these narratives get
That's
built
fake
up.
news.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some of these narratives are just start out like this so that they can get ahead of whatever it is, and they can demonize somebody who's probably going to try to do the most to help you. So we can't believe every little thing that they say. I mean, I know. I mean, I understand we getting giving it some attention because it's there, but as far as actually putting stock in it as if it's real, because it's easier for them to lie to you and demonize the other person so that you don't even listen to them because they want you to put all the energy into them and what they're trying to do. So be careful with all of that. Like,
I'll tell you, all the stuff I hear about politicians wanting to get involved in school lunches, it's not about free lunch. It's about making it a better lunch.
and
They
yeah,
all want to increase the quality. I've never heard anyone say we need to give less people free food. They want to give them better food.
I mean, because and like some of these politicians have kids in school, whether it's private or public or whatever, and it's like, okay, especially once they know, like, dang, this is what my kid is getting. Wait a minute, what kind of
Hey,
calorie? It's the calorie count is high, and the minerals and the vitamins are low. So it's like, okay, how does this work?
hey, and I want to give props to all of our politicians, right and left, that
Yeah,
keep your kids in public schools. Props to you. I
yeah,
mean, I thank you for doing that. Thank you for showing that,
you
as a
believe in the system.
representative, you have some faith in the system that you're trying to represent. And for all the
Exactly.
ones that don't, I'm going to say the exact same thing. Thank you for showing us the faith you have in the system you represent us in.
Huh. Robbed a bank for $1 so he could be arrested and sent to jail for free medical health care. I don't know if y'all seen this.